All right, let's jump right in. In the business world, this unwritten rule, right? Grow. Always be growing. Grow your team, your revenue, your reach. But what if that's actually wrong? What if the real secret to being the best is knowing exactly when to stop growing? That's the core of what we're talking about today, the discipline of scaled evaluation.
So get this. An organization called CX25WW, they specialize in evaluating really high-level candidates. And this is what they say. We cap our capacity on purpose. Just let that sink in for a second. In a world that's constantly screaming, scale, 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 this is a completely different playbook. Why on earth would a company deliberately put a ceiling on its own growth?
And that's exactly what we're going to dig into first. This idea of an intentional limit. We're going to take that gospel of growth, put it under a microscope, and see if it really holds up.
I mean, come on, that's the first thing we all think, isn't it? More customers, more clients, more everything. Isn't that the whole point? This idea is so baked into how we think about success that we almost never even stop to question it. We just accept it. Bigger equals better. End of story.
Well, that very assumption, that's what we could call the scale delusion. It's this belief that you can just keep growing forever and never pay a price for it. But the reality is, there's almost always a hidden cost. And you know what that cost usually is? Quality.
And there's a name for this specific problem, forced scale. It's what happens when you push a system or a team way beyond what it was designed to handle, its optimal capacity. Sure, you might get more stuff out the door, but the quality of that stuff, it just nosedives. Think about a brilliant chef trying to cook for 500 people in a kitchen that's really only big enough for 50. Yeah, the food might eventually get served, but it's not going to be the masterpiece it should have been.
And this slide really lays out the trade-off, plain and simple. On one hand, you've got forced scale. You push for more, and what happens? Quality drops. In the case of CX25WW, that means their evaluations just wouldn't be as good. But on the other hand, you have discipline scale. See, it's not about never growing. It's about growing to that perfect point where you can protect and maintain the absolute highest level of quality.
Okay, so this isn't just some business school theory. Let's look at what the price of quality looks like in the real world, using CX25W as our guide. How do they actually make this philosophy work?
Well, if you really want to protect quality from the pressure to just keep getting bigger, you can't just have a vague idea. You need a hard boundary, a clear, non-negotiable line in the sand where you say this far and absolutely no further.
And here it is. This is their line, 3,000. That's it. CX25WW made a huge strategic decision to only support 3,000 candidates a year, period. That is the hard cap they put on themselves, all to make sure that the quality of their evaluation and their support never ever dips.
So what's so special about 3000? Well, for the CX25WW offering, it all boils down to three really important things. First, it puts the integrity of their evaluations above everything else. Every single candidate gets the full, focused attention they're promised. Second, it means their resources, the mentors, the tools, the network, they're never spread too thin. The quality stays high. And finally, it just creates this intense focus on excellence. When you only have 3,000 slots, you make every single one of them count.
Okay, so let's zoom out. How does this all become a lesson for the rest of us? Because really, this isn't just about evaluating candidates or one company's business model. It's a universal discipline, a principle that applies to literally anyone leading, well, anything, a project, a team, a whole company.
And this quote right here, this is the whole thing in a nutshell. Growth without discipline is expensive. It's the big takeaway. But that word expensive, it doesn't mean what you probably think it means.
Yeah, that expensive price tag, you won't find it on a balance sheet. The real price you pay is in the stuff that's hardest to earn and impossible to buy back. Your reputation for being the best, the actual quality of your work, and the trust that people put in you. That's what undisciplined growth eats away at.
So we'll end with this question for you to think about. Doesn't matter if you're an artist, an engineer, a manager, an entrepreneur, where's your line? At what point does doing more actually make your work less? Because knowing your limit, your optimal capacity, that isn't a weakness. It's the ultimate discipline. So where is your limit for excellence?